With the blockbuster NBA trade of just a few weeks ago still a hot topic, the question has to be asked, who has more to prove, James Harden or Ben Simmons? Simmons, who was traded to the Nets, escaped a city that turned hostile toward him. Harden, on the other hand, is now on his third team in 2 years. Both of these players have high expectations to meet on their new teams. Hello and welcome into Sports Court. I'm tonight's Judge Ethan Ellis, joined alongside Joe Callahan Jr. and Jude Wozniak. So Jude, we'll start with you. Which of these players has more to prove in their new cities?
Well, Ethan, it's a very big debate right now, and I could see it going both ways. However, I'm going to have to pick James Harden here. As for the backlash he has received throughout all the world, it seems like, as of late. To start with the injury history for James Harden. James Harden has a serious injury history as of late with this hamstring problem that he's been dealing with since last year. As last year he came into the Nets with a hamstring injury, and that also led him to missing some playoff games. He missed 4 crucial games in that Nets-Bucks series last year, and that probably lost them the series. And although KD was probably a half a shoe size away from winning that, James Harden being hurt lost them that series in my opinion. And now he comes into this season. He was never truly healthy. He finished the rest of that series out, games 5 through 7, on that hamstring injury. And he comes into this year hurt as well. At the end of the trade deadline, he's still hurt, missed a couple games. Whether or not he's skipping some of these games to try and get traded is up for debate. But if you look at it just based off injury, it's a big issue. He now comes to the Sixers. He's getting a little bit healthier playing, but hamstring, that issue is a serious topic for him. And then you look at social media as of late, with Stephen A. Smith disgracing Daryl Morey, saying that this is the worst day of his career on the trade. How are you going to say that when you get arguably a top 15 player of all time in his position? How are you going to disgrace James Harden's play like that? And I think that really puts a burden on James Harden's shoulder. He's a massive chip on his shoulder to play better now, because you're having people on social media saying that the Sixers got swindled in this trade, and I couldn't believe it. And that really has something to say that James Harden has a lot to prove, and really shut up the people and the doubters to say that I'm still one of the best players in the world, and I'm going to prove it right now, which he's doing in these first 2 games.
Well, Ethan, Jude's going off of social media going nuts, which social media goes nuts for everything. I mean, come on. They went nuts for a quote-unquote surgery of a grape, so realistically, what trust can you put in that? But if we talk about James Harden, what has he proven in the league since he was drafted to OKC? Well, he's only become the greatest man to win 6th Man of the Year, right? Kevin McHale kind of gets the honorable mention. I'd take Harden over Kevin McHale, but still. He is one of the greatest scorers this game has ever seen. He has proven that he is a perennial key piece on a championship contending team. He's made it to the conference championship finals for, how many years now? Since 2013, when he was with Dwight getting the first round exits, then he made it to the semifinals and the conference finals with CP3, and again, he became, and I believe, this might be a hot take, that if KD goes down, the Rockets were built to beat that team with KD in the slower pace that team was with him. They would have went to that finals, and they became within a half a shoe size smaller on KD from sending the Bucks home and playing in last year's finals. What has James Harden proven? Everything to me, other than finals success and consistency late in the playoffs. If we look at Ben Simmons, what has he proven? He's a good defender. Don't get me wrong, he's a perennial defensive player of the year every single year. That's basically it. What was he coming into the season after he got drafted? He was a defensive player, long, tall. He was a tall point guard, and he hasn't worked on anything. He can't shoot. He couldn't shoot in 2016. He still can't now. He's a decent passer. He hasn't gotten better since 2016. He's a rebounder, obviously a better defender, but that's all he's improved on. So if you're telling me who has more to prove, James Harden has more pressure on him. I understand, because now they're a finals favorite to me, them and the Bucks. But right now, if you take the greatest scorer ever, or in the conversation for the greatest scorer to ever play the game, and a man who hasn't improved in 6 years, I'm saying emphatically Ben Simmons has more to prove.
Well, Joe, as you say that Ben is a good defender, perennial defensive player, I'd argue that he's the best defensive player in the NBA right now, regardless of him sitting out these past couple months. Ben Simmons, when he's on the court, a difference maker on the defensive end. And besides that on offense, an above-average offensive player in terms of getting his teammates the ball and okay at scoring, probably career-wise, 16, 8, and 8. So he's just average on offense, above average, if I do say so myself, kind of Russell Westbrook-esque type numbers. But besides that, he hasn't proven anything. So what does he have to prove? Nothing. He hasn't proved anything in his career besides being a phenomenal defender, so he has nothing. Ben Simmons last year, he averaged 15, 7, and 6. So what else is there to prove? He's done that for his whole career, and that's what he is. He is a phenomenal defensive player, and besides that, on the offensive end, can set up your team to get shots, and that's what you know you'll get with him. There's nothing else to prove. You know what you get with Ben Simmons, and that's all that you have with him. And if you look at what he brings to this table for this team, he's going to get your shot creators wide open. He showed it with Seth Curry in Philly. He's going to get him wide open. Kyrie's going to learn how to spot up shoot and be phenomenal for that team if he can get on the court, of course. And then Kevin Durant, could you imagine? Because people will still need to double team Ben Simmons when he's driving to the paint. He's a force down low, in my honest opinion. So KD, he's going to get open. And if you are leaving KD with just an inch of space, he's hitting that down 10 times out of 10 times, in my honest opinion. So I think that Ben Simmons has already proven what he is in his career and has nothing else to prove. He's not going to get much better on the offensive end, and there's nothing else to say about it.
See, I think your point of him being a force down low, unless if he plays the 5, you're going to have another guy like, Drum. They're going to have another center that can't shoot. So they're just going to sit in the paint and just force them to drive, which predicates the other role players, which everybody knew. KD is a knockdown shooter, so is Curry, so is Mills, so is Kyrie if he's on the court. But it's reliant too much on jump shots, whether mid-range or threes. And also, your point, I think that your argument works so well in the question of who has more pressure on them. Because Ben Simmons is going to do what Ben Simmons is going to do. Harden needs to be that guy. But that wasn't the question. Who has more to prove is a different thing. And what I think is that if the Sixers do go to the finals, whether or not they win it or not, if they go to the finals and the Nets flame out, they're going to point the finger straight at Ben Simmons in the same breath that they pointed at Kyrie for last year, and they're pointing, and Lakers faithful are pointing out Russell Westbrook right now. That's why I feel like Ben Simmons has way more to prove than James Harden.
Well, some pretty strong arguments have been made here tonight, but who is right? As the presiding judge, I rule that Joe has the strongest argument, and therefore the court rules in their favor. But how does the jury rule? For that, I will throw it to the audience. Comment below who you thought had the best argument. For Joe Callahan Jr. and Jude Wozniak, I'm Judge Ethan Ellis, declaring that Sports Court is now adjourned.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning into this edition of Penn State Sports Night. We hope you liked that segment.
And we're sure there's other Penn State Sports Night segments that you are going to love as well. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content.
And check us out on social media for updates and behind-the-scenes clips and pics. Follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action.
For all of us here at the Belisari Media Center, we are
Penn State Sports Night.